The United States has blocked American firms from doing business with China's biggest chipmaker, SMIC. It's over concerns the company has connections with the Chinese military.
The Commerce Department has told U.S. chip companies to stop supplying China's biggest chipmaker, SMIC. U.S. firms will now need to get a government export license if they want to sell certain technology to SMIC. In a letter to U.S. chip makers, the Commerce Department said selling chips to SMIC poses an unacceptable risk of being diverted to military end use in China. Shares in the company dropped as much as 8% as of Monday morning. Investors have seen a 25% drop in the company's shares over the last month. The trend could continue as the potential for the company to be put on the entity blacklist looms. The move is already a big blow for China. The government has heavily invested in their semiconductor industry to become self-reliant and compete globally. However, that journey to self-reliance requires a long-term approach, and U.S. companies currently hold innovations that lead the industry. An SMIC engineer told the Financial Times that people in the industry are more pessimistic about becoming self-sufficient and that they feel helpless. The recent restrictions on Huawei meant that SMIC lost sales that accounted for a fifth of its revenue. And the new sanctions mean that its second biggest customer after Huawei, Qualcomm, will need to be curtailed. SMIC said it didn't receive any notice and that it has no relationship with the Chinese military.
The U.S. is reportedly restricting tech export to China's biggest chipmaker. If the move is real, an expert says China's entire domestic semiconductor industry could suffer a devastating blow. NTD's Juliet Song has more on that.
China's biggest chipmaker, SMIC, could soon be hit by U.S. sanctions. According to a Wall Street Journal report, the Commerce Department has asked computer chip companies to first get licenses if they want to sell technology to SMIC. Our in-house expert says if sanctions are imposed, they would cause a devastating blow to China's domestic semiconductor industry.
The sanctions don't just cripple one part of China's chip industry. They cut off all of the industry's critical components. It's a comprehensive penalty.
Semiconductors or chips are the brains of modern electronic devices. They power everything from smartphones to computers to military applications like missiles. And when it comes to high-end chips, China is highly reliant on imports, toppling the list of the world's largest chip importers. In 2019, China imported $300 billion worth of chips. That's more than what it spent on crude oil. The Chinese regime has been pushing for self-sufficiency, pouring top-dollar funding into its domestic chip industry. And SMIC leads the country's tech breakthroughs. But it's now facing mounting difficulties. As U.S. technologies dominate the chip industry, the U.S. technology lead comes down to all parts of chip production: design, manufacturing, package fabrication, and testing.
No matter what segment of chip production you're talking about, U.S. technologies are involved. So companies that use U.S. technology could be forced to observe the sanctions.
U.S. chip companies lead global chip design, and they make up almost half of the global market share. When it comes to chip manufacturing, China's technology lags far behind. The world's top chip maker, Taiwan's TSMC, can produce chips as small as 5 nanometers. China's strongest competitor, SMIC, can at best produce 14-nanometer chips. And to make the world's most advanced chips, manufacturers have to use an EUV machine. Dutch company ASML is the only one in the world that makes it, but even that uses U.S. technology. The Chinese regime tried to create its own EUV machine twice already, but failed. Juliet Song, NTD News.